Hello everybody! I'm here. I'm a little early. Usually we start at the 10-minute mark, but I'm here and I want to work on stuff. So hi! Hi! Let me get my shit up. I'm gonna move my little stuffy. Go right here. Go next to VOD. Hi! I hope everybody's having a great day. Boop. Alright. Now we should be good, but alright. Now we're gonna work on some general stuffies. Let me see. Oh, that's something I have to check too, but I can do that later. This is the V4. So I had to finish or fix. I sleepy, but how are you? I'm pretty good. Had a pretty busy but good morning. Where is the page I'm looking for? It's here. He's right here. Alright, I need this one, and then actions with action tactics, and I just want to there we go, save. I'm gonna fix that. And now I want to do postcards. Naturalist postcards, I think, is the next thing we're gonna do. So work on that. So it's now like 2:15. 2:15. Let me write that down. 2:15. 2:15. Alright. Alright, and then we're gonna make some postcards for trying some new ones. This will be the I'll call it the vintage set. Then I wouldn't feel a thing. Alright, and then we're gonna do so the idea, berries and bush. Okay, we gotta look up references. So like naturalist art. Now, ooh, naturalist drawings. Yeah. I like a lot this this like the top and stuff having this penmanship. So let me re-add this one. And then we'll remove the other postcards. Ooh. I don't know if I'm gonna have a border for this one. Let's start with the berries and the bush. So here's the bush. What if I like crop this out? Because I feel like that would look good. Let's turn off continuous. Always in time. My brain is like not. My brain is off. What is happening? What? There we go. Yeah, this is just an example. Oh. I was like, it is not wanting to, my brain is forgetting how to do things in program. Alright. And we'll go enshrined. We're gonna go to the map stuff. We're gonna go to this one, map effects. Paper textures, this is what I want. We want something that's like pretty fun. I feel like this one's pretty good. Yeah, this one's like pretty flat. Do you have any other ones like that? Ooh, that one could be nice too, because those. Yeah, I think I like. I kind of like this one because it's like handmade. Ooh, I like this one. Okay, let's do this one. Put this here. Yeah, and then let's turn this off for now. And then I had like a tiny stroke around all this, but I think that might look weird because of how we cropped it. So we want to do like that. And then I do like some penmanship. So this would be like exploding. I want like what are they called? The like calligraphy pen font. Like the calligraphy pens? No, not like that. I think it's like decorative. Cartoon, groovy, old school, curly, western, eroded, maybe? Script. Oh, God. I like this one. Save. My cute aesthetic. It was bad when it ended. Gimme. Gimme. It's not gonna have. They have ones like similar to this one. Fonts that look like writing from a calligraphy pen. Oops, that wasn't capitals. This one wouldn't be bad, the Millystone one. Let me look at it again. Wishing you the best. Let's do this one. Oh, okay. DTF install. Amber Bloom, cool. Alright, so let's use Millystone. I want this to be black. I feel like I'm not sold on the font, which is it's kind of hard because like fonts really are what sell a lot of these kind of things. This one. This one. Ooh, that one's nice. Ooh, this one's actually really nice. Hold on, I want this one. Yeah, this one looks nice. Onk. So the background's kind of like grainy, which I don't like. That's better. Splitting berry bush, and then let's see. Now, let's do some research. What is a naturalist illustrator and fundamental steps? The discipline during time great exploration. Maria Syllabus was a great German naturalist and a pioneer of the age. Surname. When it comes to a naturalist illustration, it's not necessarily the final observation. Hi, pixels. But they have like, so they have, yeah, the like the name, and I feel like a little like something about it. I feel like, man. Border go away. Nice. Oops. Take down. Maybe not too low. And that way we can add other stuff in here. My eyes. See a real face and it's ugly as sin. You're in my head. Makes me wanna go out of my face. You're ready for the takedown. You're in the pieces when you go to pay. It's all the same. Okay, cool. Maybe this one should be in the bottom. And then this like this. I don't think we need that. Well, no, because it should be there. Oh, cry out of my veins. Think you're ready for the takedown. To take down. Don't deserve to live. Yeah, and then little excerpts about them. Take it down my foot. And then this part, nope. This guy. And then we like center the text. Bring this up maybe just a little bit. So it's more centered. Hi, Vex. How are you? Lovely to see you here. You notice me. How in God's name have I not been fired yet? What happened? Maybe it's because they need you. Or maybe because they know you're leaving eventually? I think it's because they need you, though. That's crazy! Maybe they just like you. Maybe they're like, we cannot afford to lose another one. You know? God damn it. I gotta look at it. They never fire. For real. Yeah, so maybe they're just like, we cannot afford it. Maybe they're like, we cannot, like we will be in such shit if we lose more people. So maybe they're like, just gotta keep them. Because we are up shit's creek. I could believe that. I feel like a lot of job places are up shit's creek more than you think they are. I really like this like watercolor that's like behind the text. Oh, and then they have a date. Let's do... What is today's date? 7... What was it? 7 dot? Nope. Dot 24, 25. Especially in this area because there are too many spoiled rich kids. Yeah. You know, like, they'd rather take a humble, like, at least nice person over, like, a shitty rich kid who's probably working there because, like, their parents told them that they have to, you know? I could see that, honestly. Now your Spotify broke. There you go. Thank you for the song request, by the way. This one. Not the image. Exploding berry bush? Yes, this is a bush from the Enshrined, and I'm making like a naturalist styled art. That's rest mask. Go. Are you familiar with the sandbox tree? It sounds like something out of a fantasy horror game. It is technically. It's out of a technically. Enshrined is a eldritch horror. You know, a mythic horror D&D supplement is coming soon. Look at this. Look at this guy. Look at that guy. Spooky guy. And there's whole ecosystems. It's really cool. Look at this Nagla. It's really cool. A lot of cool art being made. Oh my god! Oh no! Oh no, my eyeball saw the... No, I saw... Oh god, devouring. Next time, tryptophobia warning. Oh my god, I saw the pines. I saw the needles in someone's hand. And then, oh my god, I want to scoop my eyeballs out. Ugh. I'm not having a good time. That was a bad time. No, it does not do that. There was an image. I'm not going back. If you look up sandbox tree, there will be an image of someone's hand that had holes in it. Oh my god. Not your fault, devouring. It was Google's fault. God damn it, Google. God, can you put a tryptopho... Can Google, can I phobia filter for Google Chrome? Ugh. 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 Let me see all the reviews. Oh. Oh, my eyeballs. Oh my god, my eyeballs. I can't even, I'm gonna be honest, I can't even check if this works. Oh, I don't know. Oh, that sucked. Oh, that sucked. Anywho, enshrine's cool. Enshrine's cool, isn't it? Because the tree trunk is covered in venom spikes, but it's the explosive sea pods that are the real interest. That does sound cool. That does sound cool. If only Google didn't cuck me. If only Google Images didn't cuck me. No! No, I don't want. I want to risk it. I'm already emotional. I'm already emotional. Sorry, the tree. It wasn't the tree. There was like an image of someone's hand that like I don't know. I don't know. Like, I wish I could give you the context of it, but I can't. Because the minute I saw it, I closed out of it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I'm a pussy. I'm sorry I'm a pussy. Grrr. Man. That was crazy. That was crazy. They probably, yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like, they ate shit and it left holes in their hands or something. No, poor baby! No! Oh, God. It's like, oh, God. You just want to scoop your eyeballs out. You just want to take a, like, rusty metal scoop spoon and just open your eye and just go right with the eyeball. Oh, could this be in English? I realize this is not in English. We're good. We're good. We're good. We're good. We're good. We're good. Look at this weird flamingo. Look at him. He's so weird. Look at this weird. He looks like a squonk. No, we're good. Yeah, we're great. We are great. Oh, okay. I want to do like an informational thing, but I just don't know what to write. Hollander. Alright, I gotta ask ChatGPT if it can translate an image for me. Ooh, stay logged out. Can you translate images? No. It's in German. I'd like it in English. His name. Very fine notches, sharply serrated. Oh, okay. Explode upon impact with ground. What are levels on this? Ugh. That didn't help at all. Alright, that didn't do anything. Cool. That's fine. So I can't do it like that, which is fine for now. We'll just keep it like this. The best. The first way. To be thankful. Enter and then rounded. Smooth on top. Maybe we don't need this one. Oops. Maybe. Yeah. Well. Yeah. And then maybe we take this one. Christmas. I think this one's fine. Hi V, how are you? And then narrow. Oh. Buddy do 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 do. Presents. I'm feeling good today. Oh, and then they have the little. Actually, I could split these. I have longer, better interest. Boop. Oh, my brain. Narrow leaves. Apparently, that's what we be sniffing. Feeling good today. Shit today. Got fried Oreos at work. Yum. Sound delicious. How were they? Were they tasty? I'm gonna make this black. Oh, this doesn't have my. It's fine. I can just. Here we go. Antidepressants. I'm feeling good today. Antidepressants. Okay. Ooh, I should try making those. Which is when I'm I overslept this morning. I woke up at 11:30, which was I was supposed to leave the house. I didn't eat breakfast. That's valid. Well, I'm glad you got something to eat. You know, we listened to the song earlier. I'll play it one more time though. Easy in the eyes. Oh, I forgot to say the profile. Nice try. Into the lens. Face and its eyes. I think I do want this border, but a little different. I finished? You finished it? What do you mean? It's only like an hour and a half. Pieces always okay. The same. But did you like it? Did you like it? Oh, valid. Did they like it? What is the size of this? 1.8. So good. I'm glad you liked it. That's good. I'm glad they liked it. Just to show it, just wanna cry out of my veins. For the takedown. Lol, fried Oreos low-key saved me from hunger. I'm glad. It's good. I'll take you down. Name and date. Is the date a lot smaller? It is a lot smaller. Okay, so also this is not the name of it. It's called an elder. What is it called? Ember Bloom. Ember Bloom. Silly me. Take down, I'm gonna take you up and make down. What? I want to make this smaller. Kind of want to use Roman numerals too. I don't know Roman numerals. Roman numerals. 7 is 1, 2, 3. What is 7? What is 7? VII. VII and then 24. XXIV. Hi! Lurking, you're so cool. Keep being cool. Thank you for the lurking, Pie. I hope you have an amazing day. Thank you for stopping by. It means a lot to me. XXV. Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, maybe just the 2. Attention. Yeah, I think I like that more. Also, I'm sorry about milk. You're totally fine. No, when you explained it, I was like, well, technically you didn't need to explain it. I appreciate the explanation, but it's like, no, it's totally cool. I've had plenty of people that are like lactose intolerant that's like, the topic of milk, get it away from me. And I'm like, valid. I apologize for bringing up your PTSD. So you're totally fine. I hope you had fun last night with your game, though. Hope you had the fun. Oh, no. This is the info. And I hope you have fun. I'm sorry if I'm a little distracted. I am trying to get this done for the client. So that way they're not waiting on it. Antidepressants are feeling good today. This is the info, name, date. Yeah, I like that. Do I want to flip this? No, I don't. I wish it could have been a normal reason like lactose intolerance, but no, it's just weirdos being weird. Weirdo, that's how it be though. Weirdos being weird, and then you have to have weird like rules. Like, for example, I have a rule in my Discord because that says do not talk to me if you are in the bathroom. Just mute your mic and leave. You know, go to the bathroom. So it's valid. Lactose intolerant people are just weak. Just get rid of it like I did. Jay, I'm lactose intolerant. I love that. Okay, made myself dizzy because of that, but I'm okay. This is note 1. And then I will have this one. I'll probably have this one vibe check before I do the rest of them. My personal Discord has 0 tolerance policy towards the No, that's like so valid though. That's like hella valid though. You're doing great. Back to lurk. Thank you for the lurk and thank you for stopping by. I think this is technically note 3. 3. Yeah. This is note 2. And this one goes on top. And this one here, and this is note 1. I don't like how light that part is. There we go. Okay. And then, so now we have the notes as their own thing. And then I want to do like paint stroke like this on the back, like so. What watercolor brushes do I have? Ooh, perfect. Take this. Ooh, it's supposed to be so pretty if it was a gradient. Nope, give me gradient. Please. And flip it. Yes! Time again, baby. Alright, and then there's the text. Alright, but I need to make like a safety frame. Because I feel like there are areas in this where like maybe there shouldn't be text because like for printing purposes, so you can also have like a border. And then here go. I think that's pretty good. Unlock this guy. We're gonna take note 1 with this image and just scoot it with this little bit. Note 3. Scoot that. That looks good. And then we need the name and date. And then this guy that needs to scoot. Okay, and then unlock this guy for now. Turn this off. And then I want to fit this border in. Layer, convert to curves. There's break curve. Let's see. Doop, doop. It's okay, not a crush. Oh, that's off I go. There we go. It's like very dainty, so it's like thicken it up just a little bit. Before and I'll say it again. Enshrined postcards, new folder, neutral. Ember balloon. This is the templates. Alright, and then let's do imagery. Alright, and then while we on that, should move the font that we're using for this over here. And I just love that I got one open. Where is it? Give me the boy. Where is he? Oh, you son of a bitch! Is it really all together? No! I have to erase him out. Come here, little baby. I'm gonna free you. I'll free you. I'm gonna free you, you little chubby baby. Don't worry. I'm gonna spend way too much time trying to crop you out of here. Okay. Separate this. Separate that. Little toes. Alright, get these big boys out of here. Go away. Go away. You the best. The worst way using your distress. No problem. Do you like it though? I'm so pixeled. Selection only. So tiny! I'm naming him Ruby. Rube? No, I don't name him Rube. His name is Rube. Where did Rube go? Oh shit, did I save him in the postcards? Where did Rube go? Oh, there he is. Rube. Hi, Quetzal! Nice. I guess I'll wait. Does this all fix later? The rune factor thing, and then we open enshrined stuff. I can close these ones. alchemy and crafting, and then item crafting. And rune directed. I didn't do that. I forgot that. Good thing I checked. Of a hostile government takeover. Talk about it, but I'll be late for work. What? A little bit more. Oh, Lane, did you see gun run statement? I did. Very blanketed statement. Little kind of sus. But, you know. I'm not them, they're not me. We're all part of a Nigerian prince scam. Surprise, surprise. End up being a white man. No. I just wanna know what the hell did I do. Actually. Oh, fuck. I knew that was gonna happen. Yeah. Very blanketed statement. Not surprised. Because, like, obviously, if they... So, here's the thing, right? If they admit fully what happened, multiple things are gonna happen, right? It's gonna look bad on them, obviously, but I thought he left the company. I don't... It could be that he still had stocks in it. I think there's, like, a high chance that maybe he still had stocks in it. And, like, so could say stuff like that, like, had a large... Because when you have, like, a large percent of a stock in a company, they usually just kind of like still part of it, even if you don't actively like do things for it. So, not messing around. Hi, Arch. How are you? Hola. How are you? Lady in office. I gotta go back to work. I'll be on my break. I'll be back on break. Sounds good. Love you, Quets. Thank you for stopping by. Cool. Cool. Social media is functionally run by illegal right now because they're in shit. Yeah, that makes sense. Honestly, that makes a lot of sense. Alright, I'm waiting for Baldur's Gate 3 to update, but it's taking 5 hours, so I'm gonna hop on Minecraft until then. Understandable. This one's good. I can post that. This one's like almost done its processing mode, you know. It's like so close to being there. This is gonna go at the bottom. I would call this... I guess we just do rune. Actually, no. You have to do it like how this chapter works. Rune. Ah, cool. Save. Locations. I would... I'm just gonna skip these like a little bit. This feels more centered on the page. Cool. Dun dun dun. This is... I really don't want to edit a video today, I think. I feel... D&D at 3 hours. Maybe. Maybe. We'll see. Postcards. Finish alchemy and crafting. God, no. everything saved. Yeah. I'm starting to hate it. Let me look at the clip again. I'll decide if I made it or not. And then I'll decide if I made it or not. Video editing, TikToks. New folder. Facial test. Oh, it's this one. Hi Moira, how are you? How you doing? Doing good. I'm glad. I think I'll try. I'm gonna try to edit the clip. Checking in on people while I'm setting up my OBS. You gonna stream? Is today a stream day for your lovely self? And thank you for popping in. Yeah, well, I hope you have a lovely stream when you stream. And I appreciate you stopping by. It means a lot. It's eeny, meeny, miny. A drink, throw up in the kitchen. See, what are you working on today? I went back and forth. We worked on a little bit of TTRPG. I'm helping with a Dungeons and Dragons module kind of Kickstarter thing. So we were working on the playtest because I'm essentially formatting the book for them. So I was just doing some edits to some of this stuff. And then they also requested that I help them make some postcards. And they're gonna try it in this like naturalist style. And so I kind of came up with a layout for it. The art's not mine. The art is from their art team. So I made an example of how like, because essentially they're gonna make like wooden postcards, which are really cool. So they needed someone to like format out like kind of like a naturalist style. I don't know how I feel about the border. I think I should have made the border more scribbly, actually, now looking at it. But yeah, and now I think I'm going to edit a clip. But yeah, this is really cool. Yeah, it is really cool. It's fun. I like what I do. You seem to have a lot of cool projects. I do, thank you. And you are a cool you're not a product. You're a cool person. Sorry, that came out like really really not that cool. But I appreciate you stopping by. It means a lot. Let me see if I can do it the inverse way then. My type of flirting? Awkward. Let's do with variants. There we go. Perfect. Didn't really work the way I was hoping it. Good luck. Thank you. I hope you have a wonderful stream, and thank you again for stopping by. It means a world to me. I want to move this. It's okay. Meant to be. Yeah, I like that a lot more. Cool. Postcards. Okay, this one. Going up, it's our moment. You and together we're glowing. Gotta be golden. Up with our voices. I forgot I had a bowl cut in this. You know what? Bring it back. I want to make my bangs longer. Ah. Alright. I gotta get that. Okay, here we go. Oh, I beat the heat tip in this week's TikToks. From Kiwi Goblin Books. Username is green. His name is by the bee. We gotta be golden. Chat. Okay, videoediting. Twitch. Save. I'm pretty sure this clip was made, was also clipped by Kiwi as well. Oh god, it's the cops are run. And cheese. Yeah, this is what work looks like. Oh god, we have quite a few actually to... I think we have a few clips to download. Yeah, I think the last one was... Save. Oh. Maybe no who. And then... Goblin intelligence. What? Oh. I should make, like, peak ones. Yeah, I won't. Hearing my wife laugh is so cute. I do want to download this one and be like vocal stim, because I want to do like oh, this is also a vocal stim one. It might not be. It could just be a thing on its own. Fonts 2025. 3. Yep, up there. Download. Okay. And track. Now we go here. 11. This one. Oh, I never checked who put this. Okay, and then this. Creepy crawler. This scroll. And then clips. Yeah, it was clipped by Kiwi, okay. Books. Alright, and then I think I'm gonna create subtitles just so I can. So I can know the timing of things. Knock me down, you can tie me up. On eagle trip, I get in the trunk. God, do you ever come up with a fake scenario that pisses you off so much? Oh yeah, all the time. All the time. Most times, though, it makes me sad more than mad. I'm more of a person to make myself sad than a person to make myself mad. There are things that make me mad. Like, people who could take showers without getting... Like, people who scrub in the shower before getting wet. But most times I make myself sad. Beat the hip. Thing. Hip. Hit. I imagine some fucking 14-year-old broccoli head from Bloomfield Head saying, "Oh my god, I live in Troy, it's so dangerous," and I'm like my poor bean vexed. My poor bean. It's okay. But the fun thing about it being a fake scenario is you can throw rocks at them in the fake scenario. Hit the hip. I read this so many times, god damn it. Right, and then this one, and then I scoot it, and then I just say fumbling. And I take this one. Hit. Hip. And then take 3. Okay, so it's like this. Where's das du? This one here. Wait, I read it 3 times? Yeah, I did it 3 times. Oh, okay, I have an idea. What was I saying? I also have to boost this. Oh. You track up. Track up. This does too. What even? Okay. Okay, and then I need sound effects. Where is it? What? QR? R? Yeah, there it is. You're so right. I'm gonna hit him with a Zamboni. Fuck yeah! Hit him with that Zamboni. The heat tip. Also, overall call out to great font styles, 10 out of 10. A bit crowded, so scale down the big bush maybe 20%. For the full berry, maybe use a color version, but reduce the intensity so it doesn't compete with the bush. Okay. I gotta bring back the file. I gotta keep this open. I'm gonna keep that open. Enshrined. Postcard. Boop. Scale the bush down 20%. One piece at a time, so 20%. For the full berry, and the copy image, this one go here. What did I delete? No, I don't want this one. Color, but reduce the intention as you compete with the bush, right? I'm gonna be. Oh, not that one. There we go. Up, it's a moment. I'm going, gotta be going. Up with our voices. Gonna be golden. There's room after the resco. You could spread the berries out a bit so they're not all crammed in the same space. If we wanted, keep berry note 1, 2. Is almost down. And note 3 could go. We'll see. No more hiding, no shining like I'm gonna be. No, I believe. Going up, it's our moment. Come together, we're going. Gotta be golden. Note 2. Time for reading. Text, imagery, no, it's in text. This one, let's do. Okay. Let's flip it. 3. I don't like that there's a big empty space right here. One, two with this one. Let's get this down just a little bit more. And then 6, 4. Center. Let's do 2. Cool. And then back here. I just kind of want it to like pop in, but I don't want the wobble. I think I may have nuked the server. Let me look. Surprise, surprise, you end up being a white man. It is restarting. So you can join it again in a second. Want the lady? Oops. It's okay. It'll happen sometimes. See, the problem is if the server doesn't restart on its own. Okay. Should be okay now. Okay, I will restart DaVinci. Because my computer was lagging. Government. It's okay. We got there. We're getting there. I was ready with some potent spells. Understandable. I mean, hey, I'm not one to stop you, you know. Sometimes. Also, I realized a thing that I did that I should have done differently. It wasn't me, probably. I'll be honest, I don't know who it was, so I don't mind either way. Okay, this was this one. And here's V2. There we go. There you go. Okay. This one, no government. So government. Actually, I don't know if I should keep that across the whole video or not. And then we could do like a zoom, like a so we need a beat, and then so the first one here we got beat the heat, and then here rotate. Oh, not this guy. And then I want to rotate them. And then I think this one. Heat. So if I did that for each of them like this, this one here, like this, like this, and like this. Make this go for a bit more. Synchronization. Okay, and then this one. And then we can add track and make it go X. Add track, and then symbols, and then X. Heat, and then move these guys. So this one I got and then A, And then this one here. Which will be this one. This one will get pasted. This one goes here. Here. Boop. Okay, more K-pop. There's a different song. Heat. Oh, did I fuck it up more than that? Oh, fuck. We know. Oh, no, I did it right. Oh my god. Like that. Tip. So tight. This one. And this. Top. Okay, let me just go. Oop. Alright, so how does this look? Cool, I did it. We'll do like a clap. Sound effects. It's a clap, isn't it? Clap. I'm trying to think of this like audio clip that I'm like not remembering. Is this the sign field noise? Yep. It is. Download. Download. Oh, I bet it's conflicting with the VOD stuff. That's why it doesn't want to download. Oh no, where did Pop-Up will go? Oh no, Pop-Up over here. Then do a download. Video editing. Catching in my throat. Thank you for the song suggestion. Color compressor video. Just spit what makes sense. Trust. I believe you. I trust. Nice. Okay. What's broken? ABCD. I need a Lego breaking noise. ABCD. Lego breaking noise. Oh, I love the crab song. Hulk Hogan died. Rest in peace. Oh wait, he's a fascist? Isn't Hulk Hogan the one that did the slap into his Slim Jim and was like, "Hey, brother"? Is he dead? Aww. I'm sad that he's a fascist. But didn't he do the snap into a Slim Jim? And isn't he the one that's like... That's kind of sad, though. Well, that guy's sad. Yes, and he was also evil. God damn it. Is Macho Man Randy Savage? Okay, thank God! Thank God. Is Macho Man Randy Savage, is he still alive? Or is he dead too? Is he still alive? He died in 2011! Damn it. Okay, well... I guess I don't really care about Hulk Hogan then. Rest in peace, brother. You gotta do the traditional evil person died song. That's valid. That's valid. Have you ever seen Skyrim Macho Man mod? It's amazing. There's a Skyrim. Okay, well, now I'm gonna have to play Skyrim just for the Macho Man mod. Just for the Macho Man mod. I love Macho Man. I love Macho Man Randy Savage. He's so cool. Go look at my video. Okay. Bet. I'm gonna have you guys listen to it with me. What the fuck? There's one for Fallout 4 and New Vegas as well. That's amazing. It's so much more ominous because I know it's Macho Man Randy Savage. Ugh, rip. I'm so excited. I want to see him. Ew. Look at it. Ew. He has his hair. Yeah. I want to see more of it. Yeah. No. Macho Man, come back. Ooh, yeah. Ew. Ew, he looks so gross. Ew, he still has a dragon tail. Ew. Ew, the way he flies up. Because he's got no wings. It looks so weird. A snap to a Slim Jim. So he's like, does that mean you suck Macho Man? What does that mean you suck? What? I think that means I snap into a Slim Jim. Oh my god, my eyes are sleepy all of a sudden. That's so... It's disturbing, but I love it. Wait, was that timed right? Oh, it's gotta be timed when it falls. Thank you, Devouring. It was terrifying, but I loved it. 10 out of 10. 2 out of 2 for disturbing you today. That one I'm happy to be disturbed with. That, more of that, you know, in my book. And more, I could have more of that any day. Alright, let's do text-based generate. And then it's already 3, it's already 4. So I think I'm gonna play Minecraft after I do this, the text subtitles for this. I'll play Minecraft. I'm just gonna no, I need that for later. Maybe just make sure the Minecraft. Elaine, you look adorbed with your hair chopped. Thank you! Isn't it cute? It's kind of like a ponytail, but then I have like long bangs. I kind of like it personally. Okay, it looks like that's good. And we can't go back. I've already listened to that song like 5 times today. Can we listen to something else? Can we listen to Lalfei? Yes, hold on. Yes, we'll watch it. We'll watch it right now. Hold on. By popular demand. I love like the fact that it feels like he's in the distance. I love the Hulkmania shorts. Ew. Hi, SBF. Ew. It is? Oh my god. Hi, SBF. I hope you're doing well. Oh my god, there's so many of him! That's so weird. Is there like just like a universal like Hulk Hogan model that people use to like deform onto like rigs and stuff? So it feels like they're using a very like similar model. I like it though. Is there okay? New question. I love it's called Macho Cause. Macho Man Randy Savage Baldur's Gate 3 mod. The monsters are Macho Man's men. Rate my Macho Man Randy Savage build. Wait, what? Oh, got it. There's this video. I want a mod. I want a mod that just makes Randy Savage that just has Randy Savage as an NPC. Let me see this. That's okay. I want a Macho Man Randy Savage mod for Baldur's Gate. I want to be able to I want it to replace Halcyon, and I want to be able to romance him. That's what I want. That's all that I could. That's all that I could ever want. I think ever. Okay. Add to queue. Skip song. There you go. I think Macho Man. I wish I could have met Macho Man Randy Savage. I'm so sad. Way of the Slim Jim. Yes. Macho Man Carlac mod, please. With the booba. Yes, with the booba. I need it in my life. I miss Randy Savage. I miss you, Randy Savage. You would have loved, I don't know, something that we have now that you didn't have in 2011. When I talk to you, try to. Doing a meme. Hi, I'm Elaine. Maincoow. Hi, I'm Jared. I'm 25 and I can't read. What are the bounding process for this? Perfect. Bonesaw is ready. Feels like so few of that generation are left now. I can only think of Nash, Flair, and Sting off the top of my head. Double J as well, but that's about it. That's how it be. Generations are changing. Like right now it's like Rhea Ripley and stuff. That's like the main spotlights and stuff. Adding him in a Bethesda game tradition, although sadly no Macho Man Terramorph because that would be peak. Gold Dust? I don't know a lot of the specifics of like WWE stuff because like I really, don't get me wrong, I love WWE stuff, but like it's just something I feel bad because like you all know it a lot more than I do, but when I was a kid like 4 until I was like 10 maybe, I would stay up late watching WWE with my grandpa, but I was really young, so I didn't understand. I just saw people fighting on the TV, and my grandpa would go, yeah, and I'd go, yeah. So that's all I know about. And then I know about Macho Man Randy Savage. I know a little bit of Hulk Hogan. I know a little bit about The Undertaker, and now I know about Rhea Ripley. But I like WWE. I think it's cool. There were times where I was like, oh, Papa? Grandpa? What am I watching? Grandpa, they're gonna get hurt. But it'd be funny. And so it's okay. So without a care. Okay, I think that's pretty good. Oh, I was gonna add emotes. Only getting older, I never had a shoulder. Maybe that'll be good. The Brood, Christian Edge, and Gangrel is the third one you're looking for. The Brood. Yeah, I don't know a lot about that lore, but I enjoy it nonetheless. And if you guys want to educate me, mwah, I'd love it. I love being educated in general, because I feel like I'm not very. Okay, that's pretty good. Minecraft time! I was gonna play it last night, but then I got distracted and I was doing chores, and then I didn't get to play Minecraft on my bed. Labels, render, dupe. Gothic Backfire Wrestling, though. Oh, who's that one guy? There's that one guy that I want to know about. Wrestler from Death Stranding. Also, I really want to play Death Stranding. Just by the way, I really want to play Death Stranding. Because I think it would be cool. Higgs? Death Stranding? Who's Higgs? John Cena? No. Higgs. I don't know. Higgs looks cool. He reminds me of a wrestler. I think it's because of the makeup. This fever, love struck girl like teaser. I don't know. I just want to play Death Stranding. This was a long-winded way, in a very roundabout way, because I thought he was a wrestler for some reason. But I just want to play Death Stranding, if I'm honest. I just really want to play Death Stranding, but I'm poor, so. Oh, my arm itches. My elbow. Not my arm. Sting-coated makeup. Sting WWE. Yeah, it is. Maybe that's where they got the inspiration from. I could see that. Honestly, hold on, wait. Higgs. Death Stranding. Yeah, honestly, I see it, like, with the eyes. The eye drips. Kojima the goat. Oh, and also the mouth. Yeah, I want to play this game. That's cool. Kojima the goat. Yeah, I really want to play Death Stranding. Mainly because there's a lot of actors, like Ellie Goulding, I think. Actors. I mean, they have Mads Mikkelsen. I really want to see him, and Margaret Qualley. I want to play it. So never guessed his look under the mask to look like that. I know, right? I like it a lot. Who are your favorite actors? Anne Hathaway is one of them. That's a woman. Mila Jovovich from the Resident Evils. What is that one movie? Underworld? Is it Underworld? It's clear that I have a type. Hold on, wait. We'll make a little reference board. You see, okay. Kate Beckinsale. But I really like her in this. Can't copy the can't copy the image. Hold on. Her in Underworld. I love Nathan Fillion and Keith David. Keith David is Pog. Ella Purnell. Oh, I feel like I heard that one before. I know a lot of like actors by their faces. Oh, Ella Purnell. She's pretty good. I do like her. I feel like I haven't seen enough of her, but I do like her. I like Mila Jovovich. No. Fucking Oh, Mila Jovovich, her. This lady. I like her. She was in the, I think she got popular because of the Resident Evil movies and The Fifth Element. She was in The Fifth Element. Oh, and she was also in this show. I don't remember what this show is. But yeah, I like her a lot. I want more pictures. Okay, this one's, you know, it's fine. This one, this lady. The play in Ultraviolet, huh? And Anne Hathaway. Oh my god. There's another one, hold on. I guess I should have done it this way, huh? Well, I guess I didn't remember their names, so it's like harder. Oh. Like, look at her. Gorgeous. Gorgeous. I love, oh. Let me have the picture. We're going on a tangent now. This is what we're doing. Then what was her name? Is a Guilty Pleasure watch. Ultraviolet. Oh! Bet. Bet, brother. Bet. Why are we... There's so much K-pop Demon Hunters. You need to mix it up. You are having a bad time. Alright, there we go. Oh, wait. Go forward. Kate Beckinsale. Boop, boop, boop. They look so different outside of the movies that they're in. I want to keep the picture I have. Wait. I mean, that's valid. I mean, at least they tried. At least they tried. Eva Green. We're starting with the women because we love the women. Oh, God, I love Eva Green. She's such an icon to me. It's clear that it might be clear that I have a type. David Cornsett was really good in the last Superman 2. Yeah. Olivia Wilde and Tron. Some amazing, funny. Some was amazing, but it's funny to see all the errors. That's valid. Oh, her! She is cool. I know her face. What other female actors do I like? I like... She's in a lot of stuff now. She's even in Death Stranding, actually. Oh my god, wait, and then we have to do her too. Hold on. Wait, was that a kiss? Am I seeing it? Oh, it's a kiss on the forehead. Little baby. I want to play this game so bad. Ellie Fanning is really good too. Oh, her from the... Yeah, her. Yeah, look at her eyes. She's just so pretty. How can you not love her? Okay, hold on. Cast. Hi, Kiwi. Happy anniversary with your wife. She has a facial feature I really find attractive called Wind Tunnel Sweat Face. That's valid. This doesn't look like Minecraft. We got sidetracked. Hold on. We're getting sidetracked. Hold on. What is her name? She's in The Maid. No. I forget her name. Full cast. Okay, Norman Reedus. Wait, man. Thank you. Wife is too tired to go out, so we're resting today. Understandable. Did you pull a Luigi? Did you pull a Luigi? Well, not yet. Is that a not yet thing? Where is she? It's gonna drive me nuts if I can't find this. She was recently added to it too. Oh. Okay. Anyway. We'll find out in the news. In the news? You've made me forgot what I was writing. What's that one guy? Nice Guys? Hold on. I have to do like I'm doing a roundabout way to do a lot of things. Okay, open like a new tab. Margaret Qualley. Her. I like her a lot. And Russell Crowe too. Russell Crowe's great. Okay, Margaret Qualley. I like her a lot. She's just great. Oh, she was in fuck, what the fuck was she in? What the fuck was she in? She was in God, she's like so pretty too. God, can I crop this? Images. Delete, crop image. She's a bit wider than everybody else, so I want her to be the same. So now she get more headspace. Okay. What was she in? No, go away. The Substance. She was in The Substance. She was really good in The Substance. Oh, she's in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood? Oh, I want to watch the movie. Oh, yeah, no, that makes sense. That makes sense. I didn't know Leonardo DiCaprio was in it. Is there any other whammon? I don't think so. I don't think so. Alright, so these are the main whammon. These are the main whammon that I like in TV shows and movies. Alright. First guy, Ryan Gosling. I want a better headshot, though. I'm gonna be picky about the headshots. Because women always look good, you know? So Ryan Gosling, I'm gonna put him, it doesn't really matter. And then Russell Crowe, I like a good Russell Crowe. Russell Crowe, pretty good actor. Pretty great copy image. I like him. Good actor. Mads Mikkelsen, also good actor. I like him too. Okay, I fucking hate trying to get images off of IMDb. They don't let you copy them, which is dumb. Look at him. Look at that smile. Look at that boy. Okay, I'm gonna put him over here, though, because I don't like him as much as some of the other actors that I like. No, it's fine. I don't think I have a ranking, really. And then Batman movie with Robert Pattinson. It's not Robert. I don't like Robert Pattinson. He's okay. Paul Dano. Paul Dano. I love Paul Dano. Paul Dano is one of my favorite male actors ever. I watch a lot of stuff with him in it. I feel like the Paul Dano is like the equivalent to my Anne Hathaway. And then Russell Crowe is the equivalent to like my Eva Green. And then he's like her. And then this one is like if I had to like put them together in terms of like why I like them for what. And there's another Tom Hiddleston. Loki. I like him. But you know who I like more? Bullet Train. Where is he? Aaron Taylor Johnson. I like Tom Hiddleston. He's the reason why I found out I like European actors. Like, I like people with accents. But Aaron Taylor Johnson hit different. He hit different. Unfortunately, he was in Bullet Train, and he did a really fucking good job in Bullet Train, but he fucking was casted in Kraven, and the writing for Kraven sucked ass. Sucked absolute ass. Like, it was so upsetting. It's like, it was a lot of things about nothing. Like, it looks so cool because you see this, and then you watch the movie, and it sucks balls. But, you know, he did other stuff. He did other stuff. So, you know, it's cool. It's cool. I also want to do honorable mention Joe Gilgun. I want him when he's blonde. Or this one. This one's good too. Michael B. Jordan. I don't think I've watched some stuff with Michael B. Jordan in it, but I don't think, like, it doesn't especially stand out to me. Michael B. Jordan. He's okay. He's okay. I liked him in Creed. In Creed? I'm pretty sure he was in Creed. Yeah, he was in Creed. I liked him in Creed. And Sinners. Michael B. Jordan. I never seen this, but this looks good. This looks really nice. I should watch this. I saw an interesting discussion earlier. Who do you think is caked up enough to play live action Nightwing? Ooh. See, I don't know a lot about Nightwing's character. But if I had to pick someone to play Nightwing in, like, a movie. Okay, well, he's clean shaven. He's pretty muscular. He's got a pretty round booty. He's giving me vibes of someone. Me, Vexed. Yep, Vexed. It's Vexed. Oh, fuck. I feel like he looks like an actor. Like, he already looks like an actor. Who am I thinking of? Is peak feminine good? Yeah, yep. I do like Nightwing, though, to be fair. What's setup? Oh, who's this? A little bit. Yeah, but I feel like he's too twinky. I think he's too twinky. He's too twinky to me. He could be good, but I feel like he's too twinky. Oh my god, I'm forgetting one of my other favorite actors. Oh my god. No. Oh my god, Nicolas Cage, though. I don't know who I don't know what this is about. What is this? What is this movie? Pig is a 2020 American film. The film stars Nicolas Cage, a truffle hunter who lives alone in Oregon wilderness, must return to his past in Portland for Are we about to watch another Nicolas Cage movie? Hold on, I gotta put this in the movie club. What the fuck? Who has my pig? What the fuck? Pig? The fuck? Cage is in this? Okay. We love a Nick Cage. No, what the fuck was he in? Fuck. No, it was called Filth. Wife has cute hair, short haircut. Thank you. James McAvoy. I fucking love James McAvoy. You know what? Oh, okay. It's very tied between James Dano and... Okay, hold on. I'm gonna scoot him over. I haven't seen enough with him in it. But James McAvoy, oh my god, do I love this man. Also, thank you for the check-in, wife. I love you very much. I love him in Filth. I loved him in Narnia. I loved him in Split. I loved him in Wanted. I loved him in X-Men. Oh my god, do I love James McAvoy. James McAvoy? Oh my god. Like, okay, I might have to actually make a tier. Like I really like him, I really like Paul Dano, and I really like Ryan Gosling. And then I really like Russell Crowe for his acting. Like, he okay. I like them for their acting and their looks. So, wait, hold on. Okay. Maybe I'm just gonna talk about this the rest of the stream. Actors I like. I guess this is what we're doing for stream now. I adore. Thank you, Vex. This is great. Diego Luna can act your socks off. Who's this? Oh, yes, he was in Rebel 1, right? I feel like I haven't seen enough of him. Oh my god, him though. Oscar Isaac? Is his name Oscar Isaac? I love Oscar Isaac. I watched him in Moon Knight. Love him. Very handsome man. So, okay, hold on. Actors I adore. Handsome or sexy, but only seen a little bit. Have you seen Dylan? Have you seen the C drama, Dylan? I feel like I heard of it. What was it called? Like, I know he was doing some, like, lesser known stuff. Loved their acting. Sexy, but probably good actor. That feels mean. I'm just gonna put them in sexy, seen a little. Seen little acting. Little films. And then love acting and looks. Oh, right, he was doing like this, yeah, this like Chinese drama. Yeah, dude, I saw like clips of this on TikTok. It was mainly about how the girl was like, the daughter was born with the bracelets and she couldn't take them off. Oh my god, Cole Sprouse. That's crazy to see Cole Sprouse in this. Ride On? What is this? It's got Jackie Chan in it. Ride On? Is there an English version? It seems like it's just in Chinese. I mean, I don't care. I'll watch it subbed. Yeah, it looks like it's just subbed. That's so unfortunate. But I'll still watch it. I think that's the movie I sent you, the clip of him singing. What? What? What are we talking about? Oh, why is that image so blurry? Right on. Okay, cool. Oh my god, and I love Jackie Chan, and I love Stephen Chow. Oh, hold on. We love Jackie Chan. And then we gotta do Jack Black because we do like Jack Black stuff. Stephen Chow. Okay, we have to have like a Legends thing. Legendary. And then I'm forgetting one. I don't remember what I just said. Okay, anywho. So we got Legendary. Legendary. Love their acting. Ming Na Wen. Oh my god, I just remembered another one. Oh my god, she's a legend. She goes in like legend. Wait, I'm thinking of a different woman? Wait, what was she in? I'm getting her confused with a different woman. Oh, she's done a lot of stuff. Okay, hold on. I gotta organize this or else I'm gonna okay, love their acting. Love their looks and their acting. And then sexy, but I've only seen a little bit about them. Yeah, okay. I think that's good. So, sexy, seen a little bit about them. Same with this one. Same with this one. These three, though, go in here. Jackie Chan is a legend. Stephen Chow's a legend because he's a director and an actor. Love their acting. Sexy, but only seen a little bit of their films. Love acting and love their looks. Okay. I feel like I don't know what she's from, honestly. A lot of what she's from. You know who I do love? Who the fuck am I thinking about? She was in... And there's like a movie about jade swords. Her! What the fuck is her name? What was this called? Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Michelle Yeoh. She's a legend. That's a legend right there. That's a... She's a legend. Her? She's a legend. You go up here. I feel bad for the love their acting part. Thank you for the song, Redeem. Fuck. Oh god. What is that? Paul Dano is in it. There Will Be Blood. That's what I was thinking it was called, but I didn't know if that's what it was called. Him? This guy? I don't remember what his name is. Cast. No, stop. I hate the AI mode being the first in there. Daniel Day-Lewis? Is that him? He looks so weird without a mustache. I don't like him without a mustache. But I like Daniel Day-Lewis. I like his acting. Oh, and then Jack Black. You go over here. What about Kumail? Okay. The voice of Prismo? I feel like Oh! Okay. Well, I do like his acting a lot. I've seen him in a lot of things. God damn, he's ripped. God damn, he is ripped. I did not know he was that ripped. I'm gonna be honest, he's like a little bit over here. But like, I don't think I've seen, like, I don't know enough about him, but I've seen a lot of him, and the stuff I've seen of him, he's a really good actor. He got ripped for Marvel. Makes sense. Oh my god, wait, no, wait, Thunderbolts. He was in Eternals. Makes sense. Her! Oh my god, I love her. Florence Pugh. Ugh, I'm probably saying her name wrong, but I love her. I love her acting and I love her looks. She is so pretty. I love her. Just gonna scoot this over a little bit. What other actors can I think of? You know, this is a good time to go into our movie list that I probably need to update. I do need to update it. Where's my movie list? We watched, yeah, the last one I wrote down was The Gentleman. I had so many Nicolas Cage movies. Membership right now. Actors in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. that are TV heartthrobs. Okay, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It's only if I recognize them though. Hold on, I gotta scroll through the general chat really quick. Oh wait, okay. Hold on. So I want the I want the stuff for it. Where is it? It makes me so happy that I have to scroll for so long to find things. I keep forgetting to do a good morning chat. I always wake up and immediately start doing stuff in my day, but I want to tell you guys good morning in the Discord. So make me happy. Where did I put the last one, bro? Was the last movie that we watched, was it... What was the last movie? No, we watched The Sorcerer Apprentice last. Copy image? Can I just paste the image in here? Yes. Put image and select it, so. Babes, what is that on your head? It's a rune dractin. It's a baby rune. Yeah, it's a baby rune dractin. It's a baby rune dractin. He's kind of like a stone wolf. Yeah. But don't worry, I still have your plushie. She's over here. She's not going anywhere. Never too late to say good morning, but good morning, chat. There you go. Thank you, SPF. Let me scroll. I'm scrolling. Cause right before the Sorcerer's Apprentice, we watched National Treasure. I remember that because then Kiwi was like, "Do you want to see Magician Cage?" And I was like, "Magician Cage?" Well, let me copy the image. Copy image. Baby mode, you got it. Boop boop boop. I have to hide the screen though. Boop. Hi. Let me change my outfit. It's too hot for that. Hi. Why can't I copy the image and then put it in? God. Because it's not. It's just a PNG. Insert image itself. Oh my god. Put inside yourself. Maybe that's why it wouldn't work. And then the last one we watched before that was the fuck, it was it was the fucking animatronic one that I really liked. Where is it? Where is it? What is it? Oh my god, if I ever really did those. Oh my god, okay, I'll look it up. Nick Cage. Where is it? Willy's Wonderland, there you go. I love that he didn't have a single line in this movie. Image and sound. Oh, this was a 5 out of 5. This was 3 out of 5. Like, it was good, but it wasn't. This was a 5 out of 5. I love the CGI in this. Willy's Wonderland. National Treasure. And then the Sorcerer's Apprentice. Gentleman was a 5 out of 5. I really like this movie too. Oh, not all the ones that are in here. I feel like I can't think of any others. Oh, Meryl Streep. Meryl Streep's a good actor too. She's a legend. She goes in the legend category. I'll go there. And then, what's his name? Brad Pitt? Is that his name? Yeah, Brad Pitt. I like this one. I like it when he's like got hair like this. actors. I think that's everyone I get. Oh wait, no. Everything, everywhere, all at once. Oh, him too. Oh, Jamie Lee Curtis. I do like Jamie Lee Curtis out of me, but her Stephanie, she's gonna be a legend. Like, I've seen her in so much. Ever since Everything Everywhere All at Once, I've seen her, like, everywhere. Love their looks and acting, because she's pretty. And I like this guy's acting. I like him. He just seems like a good guy. Jamie Lee Curtis. Copy image. Oh, I forgot the guy for Master Isaac. Yeah, I didn't get one for him. Go over here too. I forgot he was in Star Wars. Alright, this is our chart for now. If I think of anyone else, we'll add to it. But I should have like a blacklist one, but I don't think there's any actors that I don't like. Like, I think all actors are good. They're just subject to the story. Like, for example, the fucking movie Craven. Oh god, that movie just, ugh. That shit made me sad. That shit made me sad, bro. Like, I think when I watched Craven, I'm not gonna lie, like, I was happy to see Aaron Taylor, but, like, that was, like, the first and only time in my life that I felt like a movie was a waste of my time. I've seen a lot of, like, bad movies. Gal Gadot. I don't think I have. Gal Gadot. Interesting. I don't know. I don't think I recognize her. I don't think I recognize her. Oh. Yeah, I don't really like, she's not very, I think the worst thing you can get from me is that you're not memorable, in my opinion. I think that's the Hell no? Is that another actor? Oops. Oh, got it. Got it. No, it's funny. But yeah, I mean, like, I've watched a lot of bad movies. Quote unquote, or like, I guess I would say low budget movies, or a lot of movies that are about nothing. No, it's the worst example of her acting. Got it. But like, I've never felt like a movie was a waste of my time, because at least I get something out of it. Like, there was this one movie about, like, zodiacs and fucking becoming knights or whatever, and it was a lot about nothing. But, like, I mean, I liked it. It wasn't the worst thing in the world. But it definitely couldn't have been better. But yeah, no, Craven was, like, the only movie where, like, I sat there mourning the fact that I watched it, because I was sad that I watched it. Because I was like, why? Why did they do this to my boy? They had, like, backstory, and then him in the present, and then him having a love interest, and then, like, going back and forth between all three of those, but never making progress in any of those arcs, and I was just like, he didn't even get the girl at the end. Like, what the fuck? Or, like, at least they kiss. Like, even if they're not together, at least they kiss or something. Man, like, come on. Come on! But that's okay. That's okay. At least I gotta see Aaron Taylor be cool. We gotta do our daily games. We're gonna start with Food Guesser while Minecraft loads. Next daily in 25 minutes. Fuck. Hi, Condemned. Vin Diesel, Witch Hunter. Vin Diesel is, like, cool, but, like, he's, like, okay. in my mind. I don't know a lot about him. Have you watched the world's greatest movie, Velocipaster? I have seen the trailer. Have you done global? I have not done global. What is global? I want to do Minecraft. Minecraft will last. We'll do our normal one first. Overhead tennis shot. I don't remember. Dish over which oh, it's pasta. How some solve print crosswords. Oh, is it guessing? Is it guessing? Oh shit. Oh, no, it's not. Work with dough neat. Oh, is it K-N-E? Is it A? Okay. The Bronx Bombers, informally. Like hair and a mohawk, often spiky. Miraculous bread from heaven in the Book of Exodia. What? This is Aspen. This was a very targeted one. Three down was very targeted. Entree that comes with its own knife. Steak? Oops. They have 5 digits each, typically. Oh, in pen. Yanks. Hands? Oh! You're so smart, condemned. Oh, that's not an L. What? Smash? Ah, I got it. I got it. Alright, well, what is this? I see finally. Ball. Ally. Final. Lily. I don't know if that's a word. Blind. Finale? No, I already did that one. Flab. Blab. Stew. Oh, bail. Nail. Fail. Oh, okay. Flail. Oh my god, I can't think of any that many words. Flib. Bliff. I didn't do bail. I did bail. Fail now. Nilly? Billy? Oh my god. Oh, thank god. Oh. Yay! We're in a cage. Cages. Shit. Raged. Oh wait, that's not gonna help. Okay. Meant? Okay. I'm not blown. None of those letters. Hog. I'm still just a runner. Hold on, I need to use our secret technique, which is just me typing it out because I get confused. Okay. A-E-E. Or it's A and then E. No. Evade. I don't think it's it. No. Because we don't have a D. F. I'm gonna guess something. Okay, so it's A. Quake. Oh my god! Yes! Fuck yeah. I did it. I did it. Wait, I wanna see my stats. 99 played tomorrow. Tomorrow will be 100 played. How it moves, start ways. I've been dreaming a long time. Thank you for the song request. Big brain. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Back away slowly. Small. Oh, growl, hiss, warnings, warning. Yes, rest in peace, Shoujo. But I'm glad that all of them could leave the company and still be friends, though. Like, I'm glad that the talents got to still be friends and keep their stuff. Rattle. Spray. Chuff one? Chuff. It's like warning. Oh, what the fuck? Oh. I don't know how to spell secrete. Scree. Huff? 2 more words. Thank you both for the song request. Oh, Screech up. Oh, Stomp. Thank you, Condemned. Not bad. We did a good job. Connection time. Alright. Steel pole, giant split, jet loot, rim, nick, net, titanic, great bounce dip, backboard, rabe, and mammoth. Jet, split, dip, bounce is like you're gonna get out of there. Yes. Okay. I think this is part of a basketball board. Part of a basketball hoop. Giant, titanic, great, and mammoth. Like they're giant things. Oh my god, I'm so smart today. It's all because of my banana chips. Some of them for nab. Loot. I don't know what this word is. Steal. Okay. Wow, that was fast. My bad. I didn't mean to be so fucking smart. Thank you for the vibe check. Banana chips, tower aforementioned, raw. No one else. No, I won't get the reference, but I am happy that you're excited. I'm very happy you're excited. Alright, we gotta do. How to do our Minecraft though. Okay, mobs. Alright. Alright. Mobs card says. What? Next is in 12 minutes too? Oh my god! Okay. Hold on, sorry. I'm replying to my roommate because he's getting us free food. Where's maincoow nom? I know the thing. It's faster. I just write maincoow nom. Enchilada does? Okay. Boop, boop. I can change my thing to Minecraft. My headset just reset. Hold on, I gotta change it back to my normal mall now. Or these games need a free play or an ability to play old days? I agree. There you go. Wants to be greedy. What the fuck is up with my keyboard? It's this thing. It's being. It's like that. Okay. New mob tomorrow. Okay, well, I'm waiting. I'm waiting the 12 minutes. Settings? Colorblind mode? Oh, interesting. Game knowledge? No, I need the logical ones. Let me play them! I want to play it now! Why does that have to reset at 5 p.m. PSD? Oh, more games? Hold on, what other games I got? Open guesser, auto guesser, Valdoodle. Okay. Oh. Alright. And sandwich. Alright. Alright, I was working on this. I was working on this last night. So I like how far back that is. But I kind of don't like being able to see it there. And I'm wondering if having a second row of this would help. Eh. Ah. Ah, poo. Nope. 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 Okay. There you go. I want to cover this, but like, okay, wait, that's what I was, what else gonna do? Blocks that let light through them. Microwave. Beacon, frosted ice, sea lantern, glass, ice. Oh, ice? Ice does? Ooh, fuck. Okay. Ice. Packed ice, blue ice, ice. It's very transparent though. Oh no, it's too warm in here. No, it's melting! No, it's melting. It's melting. God, it's melting. No, it's melting. Oh god. I fucked up. Okay, I fixed it. Frosted. Okay, that didn't work. Oh, leaves! Oh my god, leaves! Oh, I'm so stupid. Give me some leaves. Leaves would cover it. Oak leaves, perfect. Oak leaves would be perfect. I think I might want to go one up though. Boop, boop. Okay, let's see how this looks so far. Ooh, I think this looks nice. We could go up one more up, I think. And do something with that. I don't know how to make like twinkling lights. Yeah. Our roommate got us free food. I'm excited for free food. Oh, I went back. Boop, 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 boop. Yeah, I feel like we could go up one more. And then we could do something pretty. I can't see. I can't see. Oops. I feel like I need my glasses, but that wouldn't help. It's just a texture thing. Because they're bushy, I can't tell. Oh, I could have just stood underneath and then I would have been able to tell, but I'm just a silly Billy and I didn't realize. Oop. Okay. This one. It makes like a pretty portal look. Because I want it to look like a night sky. Fake night sky Minecraft tutorial. Ooh, that's pretty. That seems like a lot of work. I'm not gonna lie, that seems like a lot more work than I want to put into this. Not a lot of work with fill commands, but you have to like make the stars and stuff, and I don't want to have to go in and make the stars. Like, I want this. So like Bernard, I think would look cool. Oh, it's like a lot of layers of glass. Well, how far up can we go? That's the real question. Can we go up? We can go up pretty far. Also, I gotta hand it to Wacky. The new immersive sounds that we have are pretty fucking fire. Okay, so maybe we can just do that. We have twinkly blocks. That's what I was thinking. I feel like with all the, like, the space stuff we have, we should have some twinkly blocks. Oh, wait, what about the dark? The deep dark? I feel like some of these gotta be twinkly, right? I forgot, like, what they're called, though. Gloomy Sulk? Skulk? Skulk? Yeah, like Skulk. Skulk is, like, pretty. Wait, hold on. How does Skulk look? Wait, can you place portal blocks? I don't think I can. I don't think I can. Minecraft, how to place portal blocks. Doesn't Skulk spread? Oh god, I hope not. All right, well, let me try the other thing first. It does kind of do what I want though. Okay, let me try the other thing first that I'm thinking of. And if this is the case, I'll just have this be stone. Cause I don't know if the outside of this is really gonna matter. If it does, I'm gonna make it black though, I think is my plan. Is that the Kiwi Goblin Books, my lovely TikTok co-writer? Not only in my chat, but also in my Minecraft server? Oh my god. Welcome in. Lovely. Fancy seeing you here. Also lovely seeing you here. Let me just gas you up because it makes my mood poggin when I gas up. A K-Goblin? Is it the writer K-Goblin? I wonder if this is enough. Yeah, kinda. Hold on, let me look at the... What's the thing again? So that if we love this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. How many layers do we have? Let me make this hole bigger. 2, 3, 4. We go one more up. Okay, we can only go one more up. Hold on. Okay. Let me just fall back down there. Honestly, I was thinking as well that I might make this open on both sides. Whoops. Sorry. I lagged this over. My bad. My bad! Where's the entrance? There's the entrance. I might make this open on, like, both sides. But I think the back might have a root. No, we so could. Hold on. The server's lagging. The server's lagging. Where am I? Okay. God damn it. Stop it. Oh. My bad. Didn't mean to make the server lag. Yeah. Yeah. If only there were hidden mirrors so you could get, yeah, that's what I was hoping for, to be honest. Oh yeah, so tame. Yeah, and then, oh, I never finished this. My bad. My bad. Oh, I fucking... Oh. Okay. And then on the other side. There you go. It's like the other side. So you can come in on either side. But this side doesn't have a ladder. Okay. Ooh. Oh, that's another thing I wanted to do. I wanted to change the Minecraft, I can't hear my ambient noises. My bad. I wanted to change the server announcement of being like, instead of being like, oh, a dark mage is coming to like remove all the items on the ground. I wanted to be like, Mr. Sucky Suckington is coming. The individual Sucky mages are coming to suck up your stuff. So be careful. I don't want to do that. But I didn't think of anything in time. What's the rod? The little glowy rod? This an end rod? Can it go upside down? Oh fuck. It fucked it up. Fucked it up. Okay, wait, what if I... What's the name of the vacuum from Teletubbies? Oh my god, the vacuum from Teletubbies! No! Oh my god. Okay, now we have to change it. I have to figure out what the file is for it. One second. Ornament is clearing the part. You can change the duration of the data pack found in the gamer potion file. Second, I have to join their Discord. Accept invite. I have so many fucking Discords. Complete. I have read submit. Okay, wait, what am I doing now? You can also change the duration of the timer using data packs found in the Gamer Potion support Discord. Files. Dark timer data pack to change the item deletion duration chat amounts to anything. Continue to download. Place in the world's data pack folder. Read the readme file inside the zip for more instructions. Okay. Oh my god, Kiwi, you're so smart. You're so smart. I also want to know if cow emojis work. Because that would be funny. Readme text. Okay. Go to open data dark timer functions. What is all this? Oh, okay. I can close this. Okay. Dark timer MC function. Go to 10 to using any text editor. You will see the 150 seconds on the last line. Change this number to whatever you want. I was thinking of doing it every like an hour maybe. But even though it would be 1 minute, uses base time. Then on top of that, you can add more time to make whatever cycle. So it's like there's two 10s. Dark timer warn 10. Oh, dark timer uses 1 minute. Then on top of that, you add more time to make whatever cycle you need. 540 seconds is 9 minutes plus the 1 minute base time. It means the timer will clear everyone drop every. Oh, so I want to do it 1 minute less then, I think is the plan. Okay. You can change the 540 to any seconds you want. It then adds 1 minute base time to like give the total number. So 2 minutes, 30 minutes is 100 minutes. Okay, so minutes, seconds. So 30 minutes is okay. Yeah, so they're subtracting 60 seconds. Okay. No, you will also need to change the chat box to whatever value you change the timer to. Simple edit, 10 minutes, and a dark mage will clear a draw. For example, if you are using 170, you have a dark mage of 30 minutes, color red, bold, false. You can now also change the text to other countdown lines such as 1 minute, 10 seconds, dark timer. So 10S is the 10-second announcement. I don't want the 10-second announcement. I want the 1 hour and then 1 minute. So we can delete this one. So in the file manager. Hi, Shippy! Okay, but where do I put this? It says place inside the world's data pack folder. Where's the data pack folder? My brain. World data packs. Okay, and then I'd have to restart it. Okay. But I won't restart it now. It'll restart whenever. Okay, so open with brackets. Open with brackets. Always. Okay. Okay, that's fine. Dark type respond, a dark mage, so a 40 seconds. So if we wanted to do 60 minutes, it'd be 3,540 seconds. And then color red. And then his name was it? Hold on. Oh, I want that one. Vacuum from Teletubbies. Dark Mark Diaz or something. Nunu is on the ground in 1 hour. I just want to make sure. 1 hour, and then let me test something. That's crazy. Okay, that's my bad. Excited. I like this one. Will this one work in Minecraft? Yep, okay, cool. Color blue. Hold false. Save. So now this is 1 hour. And then this one will be it's coming in. So that is going in 1 minute. And 10 minutes. And then does this have anything? Do we need to do this with anything? Oh, okay, this is the cleaning the floors. I like this one. Will this one also work? Yeah, okay. Color. 8. Save. Okay. Now all I gotta do is upload these into here. Let's make sure. Place inside a world's data pack folder. Okay. World's data pack folder. So I'm just gonna make sure that it's not anywhere else. Dimensions, data. Okay, and then data packs. BBC dark. Okay, cool. I think I put it in the right folder. So if the Minecraft crashes again, it'll fix it. So now it's not happening like every fucking second. Okay. Can I play now? Can I play now? I can! Wait, let's do food guesser first. Daily. All right. Ooh, this looks like Thai food to me because it looks like pho. Rice, water, milk fish, ginger, fried shallot, fish sauce, white pepper, salt, green onion, cilantro, sesame oil, optional, soy sauce, optional, garlic, optional, bird's eye chili is optional. I don't know, this feels like Thai food. The dish is a comforting, savory rice porridge featuring tendy milkfish slices, complemented by an aromatic ginger and scallions. The milky white broth, often simmered with fish bones, enhances the conghee's. Ooh, congee? Isn't that Chinese? Or it is Asian though, so I'm gonna try China first. Warm, yeah. Congee is Chinese. Taiwan maybe. Fuck yes. Fuck yes. Oh, I'm so good at this. Milkfish congee, yeah. I love congee. Ooh, we got a savory one this time. Flour, sugar, baking soda, cinnamon, salt, eggs, oil, mashed bananas, crushed pineapple, vanilla extract, hot pecans. Oh my god, this sounds so good. Cream cheese, butter, powdered sugar, lemon juice, shredded coconut is optional, and grated carrots is optional. This just is a moist, flavorful dish made with ripe bananas and crushed pineapple, often spiced with cinnamon and nutmeg. Chopped pecans or walnuts add a delightful crunch, while cream cheese frosting complements the sweet and fruity flavors. A layer creation is perfect for celebrations, offering a unique taste that combines tropical ingredients with comforting familiarity, perfectly balanced and irresistibly delicious. Okay, so it's tropical, so maybe the I don't know. This one's like very vague, but it says tropical, but I don't really know places that are tropical, to be honest. Morocco. Cold, never mind. What are tropical places? Tropical places. Countries? I guess? Bali, maybe? A Bali, it doesn't feel like a Bali thing, I feel like. Because they use... The thing that's interesting is the ripe bananas and the crushed pineapples. Who would use... Maybe the Maldives? Maybe? Hummingbird cake. Oh, they give you the name. Hummingbird cake. I'm not gonna look it up. Ice cold. It's not the Maldives either. Bora Bora? Where's Bora Bora? Bora Bora. Maps. What the fuck? French Polynesia. Sure. Bora. Oh, nope. Okay. Costa Rica? Warmer? Or warmer? Dude, I don't know. I don't know what this one would be. Africa, the Americas, Uruguay, Venezuela. Ooh, dude, I don't know. Where are pineapples? Where do pineapples come from? South America. I was hoping it would tell us, like, Brazil? Brazil? Paraguay. Let's do Paraguay. I bet it's Bolivia, actually. Bolivia. Jamaica! God damn it. Damn. The king's office with the Caribbean and its origins in Jamaica are tied to the abundance of bananas and pineapples in the region. God dang it. Was Jamaica in this? Jamaica wasn't in this. Dang it. Ooh, okay, another Asian dish. pork white rice. Oh wait, I wish I went to round 2 to look at I forgot there's 2 pictures. I feel like this is Chinese though, but they put cheese on it. Oh, this is pork belly though. Tender pork. Okay. Pork, white rice, soy sauce, sugar, mirin, sake, onion, garlic, ginger, dashi. This could be Japanese then. Green onions, pickled ginger, and sesame seeds. This dish features tender pork slices simmered in a savory sweet soy-based sauce, often enhanced with ingredients like ginger and onions. It's typically served over a bowl of steaming white rice, creating a comforting and satisfying meal. Garnished with toppings such as green onions or pickled peppers, this dish offers a harmonious blend of flavors and textures that delight the palate. I think this is Japanese. Yeah, this looks Japanese. Especially because, like, they use dashi. Me, you already knew. Me, you already knew. Final score. Fuck yeah. Like regular. What's regular? Wait, what? Is there a different one? Oh, there's a regular mode where you can just there's 5 rounds. Yeah, the ingredients give it away. Yeah. Sometimes they'll do that. Like the Kongi one. The Kongi one was like the first one they were like, oh, it's Kongi, and I was like, that's Asian. I like the subtle hints though. The subtle hints are very helpful. Hold on, I'm just moving a server, Minecraft server to a different. There we go. Okay, now guesser mob. 49 players have guessed correctly already. Fuck. Oh, mob. Gimme, Moo Bloom. This one. This one's really big. Sorry, let me zoom out. Height is 1.4. So it could just be 1.08 alpha cow. Oh, is it the sniff guy? 1.4. 1.75. No. It's newer. It has more health. Panda? I just want to know if it's the right. No, okay. It's not an animal, actually, either. But it has a height of 1.4. This means it's how is a Moo Bloom. Ooh. What's that one guy? The Ravager? No. I think I know a smarter way to do this. 1.4. None of these are 1.4. Neutral passive bio animal. It's not an animal though. Oop. No. I'm going by the letters. E F 1.4 G. It could be the witch. Hostile. That's an animal though. H I I J. Okay. 1.4. No. L. I really want to guess this one. I'm gonna get. Whoa! Okay, 1.16 release. 40 health, height 1.4, and it's a hostile creature. The warden is way taller. It's not gonna be a jockey, is it? Okay. Okay. It was part of the 1.16 release, which has this one, another update. Is it the oh, what the fuck are they called? They're the things that walk around and they can walk in lava. Striders? But striders aren't hostile, right? And striders are too tall. That's hostile? The piglins aren't that tall, are they? Piglins? No, they're too tall. Okay. Wait, mob? Mob can be 1.4 hostile, 1.16. Oh, did I do the wrong one? Oh, this is one. Yeah, I know this is 1.16. So he's hostile? Mobs. Zombie pigman? Zombie pigman. But that's an alpha thing. Piglin. Who could he be? Because he's 1.4, but these guys are too tall. That's not 1.16. 40 health. A Zoglin? Is it a Zoglin? Fuck yes. Woo! I'm the 67th player. Leave me alone. There's other modes I want to play. Block. Okay. I always want to do nether stuff because I feel like nether stuff. Oh, where the fuck we're doing nether stuff. 64. Oh, another. Okay. It's older than this though. Is it obsidian? What else was diamond? Fuck. Yesterday I thought of so many ones. Submarine is 1.8, so that one's too new. Stacks by 64. Oh, what else? Diamond? Diamond ore? Hardness 3. It's a hardness of 6? Minecraft OD. Blocks. Oh, is it tough? I think tough is too new, no? Hardness is harder than that. What's if I look at the diamond pickaxe, will it tell me what blocks it can break? It's not netherite, is it? No, netherite's too new. A respawn anchor? 0.16. No, that's too new. Ancient debris is too new, isn't it? Howdy! Hi, Raboys LLC. How are you? How you doing? It's older? Okay. It's old though. It's not obsidian, it's not crying obsidian. It's not ancient debris. What? So blast resistance of 6? I was previously Flurg Pangu. Oh my god, hi Flurg! Oh my god, hi! How are you? I'm good. It's nice to see you. How you doing? Trying to play Minecraft and it's hard. It was netherite in the game? I feel like it's not. It wasn't 1.16, that's too netherrack though. Fuck. Doing good. I'm doing craft with my wife. Hello, wife. Hello, rat's wife. The braid style on you is my fave because we match it that way. Hell yeah. I'm glad you like it. Earlier I was doing, earlier I did this. Not that. My bad. Oh, fuck. Oh, fuck. Hold on. I'm panicking. Hold on. Those aren't ready yet. You're not allowed to see those yet. You didn't see those yet. There you go. That's what I was doing earlier. God damn it. I should honestly take those buttons off. Shy. Guys didn't see shit. I didn't see shit. And so the short hair before, yeah. But yeah, the longer hair will have we'll also have the stuff to cow clip, hair, ears, accessories. These can go out here. These can go out here. I didn't see shit. It was an accident. Enshrined notes about the okay. Switching these over to porch, match the page of the book. It's not gonna fit though. Okay, I can try it.
Yeah, but he was. I guess he was like looking at lots of that. They normally have the flute.
No, it's like a part of the
plant. Did like a cropping, but it was like cut off.
Honestly, if it was just the berry, it would be better.
Yeah, but we kind of wanted to have like both of them, but then that's why we were like, if we like.
Okay, wait. Since you're here, I accidentally showed chat my other hairstyles.
That's the second time I've done it, at least.
No, I hadn't shown the long one, but it was only for a few seconds. Okay, little teaser. Okay. Text. Rectangle.
So are you like passing all these deepest thanks and appreciation for all the things?
Yes. We could do it like this. Like it could be a framing element instead.
Mm-hmm.
And then have like this guy. And then this guy. But I'd flip him back. Oops. There we go. So we could do like fit this guy here. Have this one here. And that way this text go this way. And it'd be like this. And then the berries can be bigger. Make it this. Do we still want the colored one?
I think you might be able to fade it even more, but yeah, I think so.
I could do what I was doing to the notes. Hold on. My brain is dying. How do I invert this? Okay. Oh, fuck. Yeah, kind of. I just like wanted more, like less of it being transparent, I guess. Yeah, I could do it way bigger and then find a spot. Well, whatever, but you know what I'm like, make it more watercolory.
Yeah, I think that's a kind of a good level that you have there.
Like this?
Yeah, like I think that. I don't think you should fade it any more than that.
What about this guy? Should this be more faded then too?
Maybe a touch. Like you can just just the transparency. Yeah, something like that. And then if you want to add like just a few of those little like text things you did, where it's just like leaves, thorns, stuff like that. But you know, I think that could.
Do you know a block that Stack 64 is mined by diamonds, has a blast resistance of 6 and is not flammable? That came out before 1.0.
Has a low blast resistance.
I feel like it's another thing.
So does this mean it has to be mined by diamond, or just that it has to be mined by a pickaxe? Just like stone. Okay, just any pickaxe.
My feelings are hurt. Oh, what do you mean? Oh, okay, it's newer than Alpha 2.0. Beta 1.19?
Needs to be more hard and Endermen were added in 1.8.
What?
Endermen were added in 1.8. No, that was added much later. That's wrong.
This is stupid. I thought it was mine by. Oh, I'm having a mental breakdown now, chat. I'm so sad. Why wouldn't they specify? I feel like if they could specify, that would make me feel so much better, but they didn't. Try a slab? Oh yeah, because it's not a full block.
Oh.
Oh. This one.
This needs to be harder. Hardness 3. Fuck. Stairs.
Stairs?
No, same hardness.
What about a fence? No. Wall?
No, that was added much later.
Ugh.
No, I put a fence in there. I'm pretty sure that was weird. No, that one. Okay.
Beta 1.8 for this one. This one has it by an axe.
Yeah, which is right.
My tism isn't strong enough, chat. Ooh. Ooh. That's okay. You can go do what you were doing. I want the version hint. Beta 1.8. What the fuck?
Hey, what's that update?
What the fuck? Beta 1.3. Yeah, the Enderman update. Pressure plate? Let me try pressure plate. Pressure plate. Damn. Oh, was the other one newer though? Older? Alpha 1.0? No. Gotta take a hit off model trains to boost the tiz. I know. Yeah, I gotta build a model train, guys. Shit. Yeah, sure. Are you gonna go check dinner? If we have enough for dinner?
Yeah.
Oh, what about brick slabs? What the fuck? Why wouldn't that come up when I wrote brick? Because it's not in here. Iron bars? Could it be iron bars? I think it might be iron bars. Oh, it was iron bars. Okay. Alright. Guess today's Minecraft item. Yesterday's item was a shield. What about a diamond sword? Okay, diamond works. It is common. It maybe spells Warcraftable and it might be able to be looted. This one, coarse fruit. But that wouldn't work in a one moment. We can still try it. It is renewable. It's even newer than 1.9. Is it that one plant, the sniffer plant? This I forgot what plant. 1.9. 1.9. 1.9. What was 1.9 update? I forgot what the 1.9 update was. Okay, so it could have been shulker boxes? No, because it can't. It's craftable. What came after 1.9 that was craftable? Is it the no? It's not the. Yeah, no. Candles? Candle? It's renewable though. This never came with a plant. What plant did he come with? Is there a plant that he came with? Torch flower. Okay, so it can be gotten by a mob, and it can be found in a chest. It can also be crafted. Alright, let's go even newer. Let's do like a copper. No, I don't know. What is even newer? Oh, it's okay. It's not newer. Okay, it's between 1.9 and 1.20. Okay. 1.9. 1.9 and 1.20. Is it the B stuff? 0.15. Craftable, lootable. It's common, it's 64. It's just okay, so it is crafted. It's crafted, but it's between, it's not as new as 1.15. So between 1.9 and 1.15. 1.9 and 1.15. What was there anything? I don't think that works. Phantoms, caves, shipwrecks, treasure maps? I thought we had treasure maps. Bubble columns, new water physics, new crafting stations. Let's try to find something in here that's craftable. I feel like it might come from this one. Like a dried kelp block. I like the idea of a dried kelp block. Dried kelp. Okay, it's not from 1.13. It's newer than 1.13, older than 1.15, so 1.14. Campfire? 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 Oh, okay. Scaffolding? No. Barrel? Bell, blast furnace, smoker. Stone lantern, lectern. A loom, a jigsaw. Is it a crossbow? Yes! Crossbow. Fuck yes. Awesome. Okay, I can go back to my normal Minecraft now. Beep, 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 beep. Alright, that's what I'm doing. I need... It's darker. Black concrete. Concrete! Concrete. Concrete. Here's... So I'm making loads of my lows. My boundaries dancing slow. I'm even to the bone. Gotta make all the walls out of it now. If I do it like this, I think I can do it pretty quickly. Okay, and then if I do this... Ah! I have been yeeted! No, why would you yeet me? I was just a little bean. Do a little purple. No, do a little blue. Do a little blue. Wait, hold on. I'm taking over. No, I'm coming back. Bonk. And then purple. Purple. Do I like that though? No. Okie dokie, let's just do black then. This way I want it go. Oh! Fuck. This one. One of those days. Oops. Nope. Alright, and then... Oop, wrong one. Wrong one again. Yeah. It doesn't look like a star, though. Chat, this doesn't look the way I thought it would look. Do we have... No. Wait. What about this one? Would this work? It's like vertical though, I think. I can't see. I can't see. It's vertical. Dang it. Is that better? No, it has to be upside down. So it should go here. Chad, this is not looking like the way I want it to. I'm gonna build with black concrete walls. Green is way faster than you. Stars and ceiling. Minecraft. I'll make a star ceiling, okay. Nope, not this one. Is it this one? How do they do this? Oh, that's kind of smart though! Yo! Wait, let me try that. Let me try that. Let me up. Hi. What? I can't hear you. Oh yeah! I was seeing this on IMDb.
November.
I thought Bo would have softer features in my opinion. Like she'd still be ripped, but like softer face. I guess we're gonna have fun during Christmas, huh? Christmas. Okay, I mean Thanksgiving.
Yeah, it's like
Oh, it's gonna be great. Okay, bye. Pixels is excited about the Mighty Nine animated series, which I am too, but he is way more excited. Wait, what did they do? Oh shit! No. Oh. What is that stone? Oh, obsidian. Can we do crying obsidian? Wait. Lane has ideas. Okay, now I'm just gonna bar this off. Or put lava in it. Now will it drip? I don't really think I like it. I really like the dripping, like obsidian. Maybe we go back to the original idea and then we do another thing that I'm thinking about. I can't see, everything's just darkness. Okay. Back to the first one. Alright, and then one here. One there. Man, I cannot see. Okay. I hope this looks good. I think it looks good. God, I cannot see. Okay. Wait, okay, I think I need to turn my shaders on because I can't see. That, like, didn't help, but did help at the same time. Okay, and then we do the stars in places that this isn't. Right here. Oops. Nope. Yeah. Maybe one like over here. Over here. What? There you go. Maybe like one here. Yeah, and then we go, okay. Like one here. Is this so hard to see? I think I got it. Yeah. And then one more layer of glass. Oops. Okay. And then one back here. Right there. One right here. Okay, and then this one, and then we can do one more layer that I don't think I'll put like lights in. Options, video settings, shaders, ba-bam. I'm not gonna lie, it kind of looks like ass. It kind of do be looking like ass. I think it's because, like, I don't have enough layers. You know? Okay, how do you place portal blocks? How to place portal blocks. Does this have to be vertical though? Is this for bedrock? God damn it. Item form is clean, but it can't be obtained through add-ons. Oh shit. What do you mean? Aw, man. Okay, what other blocks do we have then? I gotta scroll through all the blocks now. Ugh. Can I look up like? Nope. Purple soda. What about purple soda? What if we place purple soda? Purple soda. Where is it? Soda? Okay, wait. I will be able to see a purple soda for this all day. How does it look? Where the fuck is my hole? It made bubbles, which is cool. But it's not really the look I'm going for. I wonder if Ad Astra has any like cool spacey blocks. Check. Not really. The beginning. What is this? Ha! Fuck that. Okay, new question. I'll go suck up all this stuff up there now. Oh. Okay. And then let's do where'd my wand go? Frick. Did I delete my wand? I did. Ugh. Boop. Ow. Instruction. Okay. I still think I made a whoopsie with these. I did. Okay. Yeah, I made a whoopsie with this. Okay. Take a look at the stage barrier. Stage barrier? Huh? 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 It's a block? Oh. Oh, rename to anvil to set it to the stage. What does that do? What does this do? Ooh. Ooh, this is cool. I want to do something with this. This is going to do something. I don't know what, but it's going to do something. Thank you, Kiwi. Because I must go back in and replace all the blocks that I fucked up. Let's do this. Yeah, and then... Oh, fuck. I do. God damn it. His name is Rube. I've named him Rube. His name is now Rube. It was a misspelling of rune, and that's just his name now. I have 4 minutes till D&D. Fuck! Alright, hold on. Let me just place a ceiling, and then I'll work on this later. Okay. This is also incorrect. It's what, Rube? No, Rube. 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 I think I did all this wrong. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. Okay, hold on. I gotta clean all this up before I go to D&D. Yay, his name is Rube. I think my brain fucked up a little bit. Nope, that goes there. Classic Rube directing, exactly. Okay, I have to go to D&D now. We're gonna go raid Havoc. Where's Havoc? Where's Havoc? And what's terrifying is rhubarb. Yeah! Yeah, rhubarb that's grown in the dark. There's Havoc. Okay. Thank you guys for hanging out with me today. I'm sorry that I have to skedaddle quickly, but I love you guys, and I will be back tomorrow for even more D&D. So if you want to hang out with Havoc, you'll be seeing me play as Alfie, a Kender, as we do some crazy fucky stuff. Otherwise, I'll be here tomorrow. I love you, Mew. We'll be here tomorrow, and we'll be doing, the fuck do you call it? More D&D. We're doing the Wilds D&D. We're returning to that, and then we're gonna get high, probably play Minecraft, and then watch TikTok. I think maybe. But I love you guys. Have fun with Havoc. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Here is a raid message. If you want to use it, you don't have to. You know the drill. I mean, most of us don't have it, so it's vibe your world. Okay, love you. Mwah, mwah.